Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So we are about to move into the 11th anniversary. And I do think a major, kind of release or, one of these weeks. So we've already got, some dates for some missions and stuff like that. If we would go in here, we're, about 20 hours or so from the big reveal, right, for all of the details for the anniversary. If we go down here, the tentative end date of the 11th anniversary content is about March 10th. Now, who knows if we'll go into an EX part. Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the EX part is just something very small, just an EZA, but parts of the anniversary aren't really extended. I would guess this year we would just go straight from the 11th anniversary into a normal Dokkan Festival exclusive character, probably somewhere around March 5th or so. Let me just quickly take a glance here. I would assume probably March 5th or 6th, yeah, would be the next Dokkan Fest. I know the date is the 10th, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Dokkan Fest will follow right after that. I really don't think so, too, because that would be March 10th Dokkan Fest into Dokkan Fest on the 18th. Quickly, what day exactly did Daima Vegeta release? It must have been the 5th or something like that of March, right? He released on March 4th. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it's going to be right around there, right? So we can kind of look here. So this week is going to be Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta, right? We're on the week of their release. They're going to come out at the latest, exactly, for me, Eastern time, when it becomes the 29th, is the exact time that they'll release, because that's when a lot of the other anniversary stuff goes live, as you can see right here, but I'm a little skeptical that they're going to be like, all right, guys, did you enjoy all that? See you in 18 hours when they release. I'm a little skeptical, right? I feel like it's much more likely they're like, all right, there was everything. They're going to be out in 2 hours or something, is to me much more plausible, but I don't exactly know. Only, I can only give you guys what I think or what I feel, right? So next week, I would say is likely to be some EZA characters. We could see a lot of EZA characters. Let's see, the week after that right here, very likely, I think we could see the Part 2 LRs released on the 13th or 12th. I guess it could be the 16th, 17th, 18th, in that range. But I'm sure we'd have some EZA characters on the week that doesn't have the actual release of the Part 2 LRs. And then I think once we get to around here, this is where the 8th anniversary LRs are going to start EZAing, right? The Dokkan Fest exclusives, the 2 Spirit Bomb LRs, and then of course we've got the 2 Carnival LRs, Goku and Kid Gohan. Now there's so much time in one of these anniversaries, and they typically do drop so many EZAs, so many Super EZAs. Just, for the sake of this, I'm going to combine Super EZAs and EZAs into one, right? But I will, let's just ignore free-to-play characters. So here's 4 EZAs, right? So that's 4. 5, 6. This is 6 EZA characters before the Part 2 LRs even came out, right? And then there was another 6 after that, right? And, I mean, technically, Dokkan is counting the Daima Vegeta's anniversary, so I'm going to add in the 2 GT Goku and Vegeta and Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. I will add them into technically being anniversary, because Dokkan is counting Daima Vegeta as anniversary, so I think that's valid to do. So that gets us to, what, 15 EZAs? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 EZAs throughout the entirety of the 10th anniversary, right? There's a possibility that the 10th anniversary would have more characters. I mean, I don't think we're doing the 6 LRs like we did last year. By the way, I just would like to say I really did love this. Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, boom, boom, boom. That's a good format, man. I do like that, right? So I think these guys, EZAing, to me, feels like we could really see it, right? These are the first Dokkan Festival exclusive LRs. The 3rd anniversary LRs, Vegito and Gogeta. These are the very first ones we ever got. So I think that this is very, very possible that we could see these boys actually get their EZAs, right? Now, if we would look at some of the previous ones, some of the 10th anniversary characters certainly ended up aging very strangely because of Dokkan's decision to kind of like cut the meta, right? They made the year and the releases resemble 2022. That's exactly what the 10th anniversary year resembled in terms of like releases and stuff, which funny enough, a lot of people, at least that I would see talking, that a lot of people do say 2022 is one of their favorite years, although I feel as though it would probably be looked at a little bit more negatively if we were synced at the time, as opposed to not being synced, right? Now, STR Gogeta, I didn't really personally get a ton of use out of this guy, and I felt like he wasn't that crazy. There was a real difference between fighting a villain or fighting a superclass enemy for him. 70% chance to guard is not just guard. We know this. That's bad. And I found that this guy, he was worthless unless he was getting multiple rainbow orbs, and he didn't create the rainbow orbs, which just made him, I think, just... I think this guy is just maybe more so on the list of like worst releases of 2025. Janemba's interesting in that they dropped him in a dodge canceling meta, but he was actually very effective basically all year. It's just that boy was just sitting there in a dodge canceling meta, kind of like trapped in limbo. But, you know, like people were using him a lot, even, you know, all year, right? In these GDC fights and stuff like that with the way his dodge was set up. Now, this guy was awesome. Twitter hated him for some reason. I don't know. Like, people, you know, they pick their favorites and their non-favorites, and they're either talking all day about how good their favorite is, or, you know, a character that they hate, they're talking all day about how shit they are. This guy, he was just pretty good. Like, he was just good. A lot of his presence, for sure, 100%, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000,000%, he was living off of this guy's aura, quite literally, right? His intro defensive buff really helped Super Saiyan 4 Goku. But hey, guess what? I did not see one fucker talk about, oh, well, Sin is just living off of Omega. People weren't saying shit about some of them Omega characters, but they were blasting this guy. This guy was good. He was very effective. So the point I'm talking about, you guys could see, this guy sucked. We have, this is the first anniversary main characters, the second anniversary main characters, and now we're talking about the third anniversary, like, main character releases right here. So far, I would want to say they're 1 of 4. Like, are you good or bad for these 4? I would almost want to say 1 of 4, but I think people would be really annoyed at me with Int Janemba, right? Int Janemba, I personally didn't get a lot of use out of, but I've seen a lot of defense for this guy, after he, you know, like, kind of the GDC meta sort of happened. So, I mean, maybe we're 2 of 4. I would expect these guys, though, I mean, maybe this is foolish of me, but I would think that these guys are going to get kind of like a better end of the deal here. That's what I'm going to guess. Now, the other thing, too, remember, as of right now, active skills, when characters, EZA, cannot be changed. EZA, Super EZA, whatever. And Dokkan very clearly is not going to change that either. Maybe foolishly, who knows? Because they just go, they just, what they started to do, LR Ultimate Gohan, Beast Gohan has one of these. They started giving characters this. Rather than, like, add a table into the database to be able to, you know, like, change active skills when characters EZA, they literally just put it in the character's passive. Boom. Right there. So way down the line, it's going to be a long time, presumably, until characters with active skills will Super EZA, even still. At maybe they do 3rd anniversary LR Super EZA for the 11th anniversary, and then maybe they do 4th anniversary LRs, which are the first active skill characters, at least on JP. But remember, we're kind of talking on, JP's kind of like the canon timeline, right? So the 4th anniversary Super Saiyan 4s presumably would be the first characters with active skills to get Super EZAs. And I assume that's what they would do. They would just, you know, maybe buff the active just with another line in the passive. But for these guys right here, remember, Super EZAs only changes one thing, passive. But the most important thing is in their passive. They're a passive transformation character. So this could be changed to what, okay, What about this? Turn 4, start a battle, done, boom. That's it. Maybe I'm thinking, like, absolute best case scenario. But, I mean, that's just... It's just, I feel like, a painless condition. That's what these boys have always had. One of the reasons these guys are the most popular characters in history, and one of the reasons, you know, the active skill, like, it just was never problems. Just turn 4, start a battle, boom. This is painless. If they would just give these guys this, in my opinion, would make this, their Super EZA, the most fun iteration that these guys have ever been in. Their original release, their EZAs, and then now their Super EZAs. Because, you know, making this just turn 4, start a battle, like, it just means that we will always see these guys. Always. And, I mean, these guys could be really, really interesting. Really interesting. So I would love it. And remember, their super attack effects, you know, they've got, like, it's fine. This is fine enough. 30% right there, 30% right there. That's not a problem, right? Their leader skill is still reasonable. Even in, like, a 220% meta, I mean, if the team is good enough, like, this is, again, reasonable. So we could really see these guys super easy during this anniversary. I think there's a good chance. And then we are off to the races if they just wha-bam right there. Turn 4, start a battle. And then, I mean, Vegito, like, he could be very crazy with the counters, you know, the damage that he could do. I would maybe wonder if they would structure these guys very similarly to maybe even the 10th anniversary LRs. So maybe this Vegito would get, like, damage, defense, crit chance, more attack as he, like, receives attacks during the turn. That also does kind of emulate how he was operating against Buhan, where he was intentionally wasting Buhan's time, having Buhan cycle through every single attack he could think of until Buhan would finally try and absorb Vegito, because that was Vegito's plan, was to get absorbed and save Gohan and Piccolo and Trunks and Goten, right? So that would emulate that. And then for Gogeta, I mean, look at his kit. I could just see it now. Guard, 70% damage reduction, 50% dodge, right? Like, you know, just some craziness. You know, 500% attack and defense right here. These guys could be crazy fun. And 2026 is not, I think, going to be the year of fusions. That was 2025. You guys know I'm Mr. Hype, Aura Hype moments. Oh, big Super Saiyans fighting. Like, you know, I love my OG Dragon Ball. I love my Saiyan Saga and shit like that. But it's just, you know, it's, you know, I'm bro, the fusions and stuff, right? But peaks and valleys. 2025, we had the year of fusions. So, like, I'm going to assume Golden Week is not a fusion, like, you know, Dual Dokkan Fest. I'm going to assume GDC is something more like Namek rather than fusions. I do think so for 2026, right? So, this is a good way for them, too, to maybe, you know, slide some fusions in the back door as some powerful Super EZAs right here. But then they're still releasing, you know, like, fusion characters. Peaks and valleys, I think, very important for Dokkan to do. And also, you can't spam the same thing over and over and over and over again. People get bored. Doesn't matter how sick it is. If they just did, you know, 4 Vegitos in a year, eventually get to the 4th Vegito, and it's like, oh, Vegito again, hey. Right? Like, that's how it's going to go. So, if we go 2026 with no fusions, then we could be going in the 12th anniversary like, oh, Blue Vegito. Been 6 years, 7 years since he's had a good, like, you know, unit. You know, and then maybe 12th anniversary, turn 1 Blue Vegito, turn 1 Blue Gogeta, be the first ever turn 1 Blue Gogeta. You know, just saying. 12th anniversary. So, I think that this is what Dokkan should do this right here. They should Super EZA the 3rd anniversary LRs, and then maybe aim to Super EZA the 4th anniversary Super Saiyan 4s for the 12th anniversary in 2027. So, chat. Let me know what you guys think, but I'm really, really excited to pretend. I think there's a great chance we see these guys Super EZA here, especially because it's basically been about every 6 months for these anniversary Super EZAs, right? Gogeta and Janemba were a year ago. The Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta were about 6 months ago-ish. More like 7 months ago, but you guys get the general point I'm making. It's time for now these boys to get their Super EZA. I would be excited. And again, the biggest problem with them would be their transformation condition. That's right there in the passive to be fixed. So very, very exciting. So let me know what you guys think. I'll catch y'all next time.